The Travel Bug Girls have partnered with A Little Nitty, a local yarn shop in Milton, Washington, to create some incredible trips that you are going to love. Each trip is designed to check all the boxes for yarn and fiber lovers who want to take their crafting on the road or the high seas. So grab your favorite yarn and get ready to pack your bags. We have Nitty Adventures coming in May, August, and October of 2025. To find out more, visit travelbuggirls.com/nitty-adventures. Welcome to the Travel Bug Girls podcast, the show where we dive into the world of travel, exploring everything from expert tips and insider secrets to unforgettable destinations and the latest trends. Whether you're a seasoned globetrotter or planning your very first adventure, we've got you covered with the advice and inspiration you need to make your travels truly unforgettable. So sit back, relax, and let's take your travel planning to the next level.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Travel Bug Girl podcast. So glad you all are here. Today, we are going to be talking about a fun topic. It's hype versus reality, unpacking overrated travel destinations. I am sure we have all had an experience where we have gone to this amazing travel destination that everybody's talking about, and when we get there and we're like, where is it? What am I supposed to be looking for here? This is it, and let down and disappointed. And so today we're going to be talking about what the internet thinks is some overrated travel destinations, and then some of our personal experiences with that. So I am Kimmy, your host. I'm here with Tina, Heather, and Cassie, all joining us today from the Travel Bug Girls to talk about our overrated travel destinations. So I guess we need to start with, what do we consider overrated? What's overrated to you guys personally?
I think there are a lot of destinations that are really hyped up on social media in particular, or even just history. People have talked about it for ages and ages and ages and ages, and it's the place you're supposed to go in that country. And then maybe it's disappointing actually when you get there. There's a couple of reasons that could happen, but overall I would say that's my definition anyway of overrated. You expected one thing and then you get there and you're disappointed.
I would say somewhere that's really expensive, and then you get there and you're disappointed, or you don't get a lot for your money. Maybe very crowded, or so crowded you can't enjoy it. What about you guys?
Overrated because it is hype. Because it's kind of like the brand name of whatever. So it's you need to make sure you get the label on your trip rather than just the trip because you enjoy the trip.
Yes. Yeah, I think we talked about this in another episode. Anytime somebody is going somewhere because they think they should, and not because they actually have some deep inner reason for wanting to be there, other than everyone expects you to go to this place, and I think that can be disappointing.
What about you, Cassie? How do you define overrated?
I kind of think about in the line of what Heather was talking about. You expect one thing, or it's something that for ages and ages and ages, people, you have to do this. You cannot go there and not do this. We went and we did this and we enjoyed it. And I think if it's something you're not interested in, also you're going to be let down just out of the gate. This is automatically going to be overrated for you if it does not interest you.
I agree.
I think too, it's very individual. It's very personal, what is overrated. So something that I might be disappointed in, might show up at and be like, oh, this is amazing. It's really very subjective.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Well, because all travel is very personal, very individual. Two people can go to the same place on the same day and have very different experiences, that it can just be. And so much of it is about your own expectation, completely different for each person. So that's something to keep in mind as we talk about specific destinations. If you love that place, then we are so happy that you did. That doesn't mean everyone else had the same experience.
I think expectation is a lot of it, just like
Uh-huh.
managing expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess on that note, let's get into, I asked ChatGPT like what some overrated destinations are. So don't get mad at me, but here we go. The first one was Paris, France.
Ooh, coming in hard right out of the gate.
I know.
Paris.
So I think like in the movies, Paris is so like romantic and it's happy and flowy and it's not very crowded. And I think from what I hear, I haven't been, so Heather, you can speak to this, but I hear it's very it can be very crowded in certain areas and certain times of the year. And then there's also you have to be very careful about getting caught up in like scam. I know like around the Eiffel Tower, that was like a big thing.
It's more around Sacré-Cœur, Notre Dame. I feel like those happen more often over there. I've spent a lot of time in Paris. Has anybody else been in Tina? Have you been in Paris?
Haven't. No.
Okay, so I'm the only one that's been in Paris, and I've been a lot because I used to live in France, so I've been a lot. But yeah, I mean, I could see this. I mean, I personally am over Paris. Please, oh gosh, I feel bad saying that out loud. Paris is lovely.
France as a whole country is going to come after us because I
feel maybe should we even share
No,
that?
I still want to go to
France.
I
don't
still
care.
love you.
I'm
We
going to
love
be
you.
honest. Here's the thing. First of all, I've been many times, so that's different. Okay. If I was going for the first time, I would not feel the way I feel about Paris. The first time I went, it was literally like a life dream to go to Paris. And I went with someone who had been before, and they showed me kind of like the behind the scenes view is the way it felt. Like I felt like I was getting to see like the best side of Paris. And let me tell you why someone might be miserable is exactly what Kimmy said. Certain times of the year are very crowded in a large city that already has a very full population. And then you add the astronomical numbers of tourists that come from all over the world to see Paris all at the same time in the same season. It can get really wild. And if you happen to be there on one of the hottest weeks of the year in a city with no air conditioning and all of the tourists of the planet are there the same week, because that's what's going to happen, you are going to be miserable. You are going to smell smells you wish you didn't smell, mostly from your fellow travelers, and you're going to grumble and complain. That's just the way it's going to be. And if it's not you, it will be the person next to you who is loudly complaining. And that's partly it just is the experience of that week or two. There's like a couple of weeks in the summer that are just hot. It's just going to be that way. And that's when most people travel, is in the summer. And so that's just, I feel like that's an unavoidable, unfortunate situation that happens every year. And then people go home and talk about it and they tell everybody how much they hated it. And so that's going to happen. But if you could travel in the shoulder season, things are going to be cheaper, less crowded. It's going to smell nicer because there's less people and less body odor and less sweat, right? Let's be real. And you're going to have a better experience if you can go in the shoulder season. The other thing that I noticed, and this is from actual experience of watching tourists in busy places where there are a lot of Americans, and I can hear them loudly complaining, so I know exactly what they're saying. The thing that happens again and again is people not planning well for how much it will cost to be on vacation. And especially if you are the person who's always gone to like an all-inclusive and you paid up front and then it's done and you're not paying every single day of your vacation for every little thing you're buying, you're not used to that. Cruises is a great example. If you've only done cruises and all-inclusives, you may not remember what it's like to have to pay for every individual thing you're doing all day long, every day. And that happens in these big cities. So now you're in a big city far away. You don't understand everything that's being said to you or shown to you and the pricing and how that's structured. And then you're expected to pay a lot of money to eat, to buy a souvenir. They're going to charge you an extra little fee to check into your hotel. And you're like, I thought I already paid for this hotel. Yes, but there's city tax. That happens everywhere in Europe. And it's going to be little, but you're going to be mad because you didn't know and you thought you already paid for this. And now they're asking for more money and you feel tricked. And it's not a trick. It's just the way it is. everywhere. It's the law. It's not their fault. And so those kinds of things add up. And then eventually people have had a terrible time. But you could have planned ahead or worked with a travel agent who warned you, hey, this is what it's going to be like. So set aside this amount of money every day. And here are some tips to make it more fun, right? Just like if you went to Disney, you would ask somebody who'd been to Disney, what could I do to make it more fun? Because I heard it's expensive and I heard it's hot and I heard there's long lines, right? And people go to Disney and have a great time. So they planned ahead. They understood what they were getting into. It's the same way in a big city. And that would be the same in New York City. That would be the same in Rome. Like any big city also is going to have some stress associated with it and expenses and crowds that you weren't planning for maybe. So just think about when you go to a major city in another country, it's going to be similar to like New York City or LA, where we complain about the traffic and how people are busy and they're rude and they're walking too fast and then they're annoyed you're walking slow and taking photos. Those are normal city things. That's a city issue. So if you're visiting a big city, keep that in mind. That was a long answer. I'm sorry.
So the next one is Venice, Italy. I also have not been to Venice. But issues include over tourism, pollution, and the high cost of living in Venice. So can anybody speak to Venice?
It's the same as the Paris. If you go in the summer, it's crowded, it's hot, and it can be smelly, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
And people aren't prepared for those things. Go in a different season.
And I feel like some people now, I watch a lot of travel vlogs, and people have different styles of traveling. Some people want to be like, they don't want to be like, don't treat me like a tourist. I don't want to be associated with tourists. I want to do the things local people do. I want to be like a local person. And I feel like anywhere would fall into that category of overhyped if that's the type of travel that you are interested in. I hear a big one. My son wants to go to Egypt to see the pyramids. And that's all I see is the number one overhyped. The pyramids are small and it's crowded and can't get a good picture and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, you're going there to see that. That's what the point. Mm-hmm. But I would imagine that if you don't like that sort of travel and crowds aren't your thing and you're not prepared for it and you're not prepared for the cost, I feel like the cost as a travel agent is something that's an easy point to negate for somebody. If somebody tells me something they're interested in, eating, doing, museums, whatever, I will look up, because that's how I travel. Mm-hmm. Budget ticket prices. Is there a parking fee? Is the museum free, but you got to pay to park, kind of thing. So I think that helps people have a better experience somewhere if they are prepared for that. Like you said, if you're already coming out of the gate angry, crowded, hot, hungry, and spending money that you didn't count on spending, you're not going to have a good time anywhere.
It's true.
I think it all comes down to managing expectations. And like you said, if you have a good travel agent to prepare you, that have, if they've done their research and they can prepare you for some of these things, then that helps manage your expectations. So when you know it's coming, it's not going to ruin your day.
Right.
But if it catches you, off guard, then it can really kind of put a wrench in things. So
good point.
Another one is Bali, Indonesia, which like every time you see a picture of Bali, it's like gorgeous and like these crystal blue waters and like these little huts above the water where you can and the fish, and it's just all sunny and gorgeous. So, but I have also seen like the other side of that, like when the tide's out and there's literally no water and you're in this little hut on top of the mud, and it stinks
and bugs and
fish, and there's dead fish, and and again, like also when places like that get really popular and everybody's going there, and there's like we've talked about in the past, over tourism ends up hurting the environment. It degrades like what you're there for, the beauty of what you're there for, so I think that's one of those places too. You guys have any input on Bali?
I think I haven't been to Bali, but but I was doing some research for Fiji earlier, and one of the things I think that whenever you go somewhere that you're going to be traveling for a really long time, if it's going to be a 24-hour travel day or something like that, you have to, like you said, manage your expectations, understand what is the most important thing that you're going there for, and then have your research point toward that. And then, really get in touch with yourself. Is this trip going to be worth it to me if I'm only spending a week, or do I need to spend a month? Do I need to prepare a year or two in advance so that I can really do this trip in a way that I won't be disappointed, and that when I get there, I will know about some of the things that might not be the perfect thing, because there's not going to be a perfect trip, and that's okay. It's how you react to those kind of things that is going to, what we've talked about in other podcasts about, that's going to be the thing that inspires your life when you get back home. So just know what you're going for, and just stay with that and keep your mind open, and that way you can have a great experience that maybe was something that you were like, oh, not so sure of. Like when I talked about going to Costa Rica and flying in the little plane, it ended up being amazing, and it was the thing I was disappointed in that I had to do the most, because I'm like, oh, why can't I just be there?
Right. I think, Tina, that's such a great example. And, something I see as a travel agent a lot, I've just started to notice this kind of language. Like a lot of times people come to us and they're like, okay, this is a trip of a lifetime and I will never get to do this again. So I want to make sure I see everything because I will never get to do this again. And listen, unless you're like north of 80, I'm just going to call maybe not. Like, I think you need to take a step back. Maybe this is your first time traveling and that's why you feel that way. But very unlikely does that have to be true. That's just reality. We live in a world that's making it easier and easier to travel. And if this was a priority to you, you could go again. There is no reason to think that you couldn't, unless you have some dire medical situation that says you only have this long to go. Like, you really should not be assuming that. So that's number one. And it colors when you come into trip planning with that attitude, you are setting yourself up to be disappointed. You just are, because you feel this desperation that cannot be satisfied. So if you're planning to go to a country that you've always dreamed of, I've had 3 conversations about Italy recently that are this kind of conversation. And you've always dreamed of going and you feel like you've waited too long, and now you're in middle age and you're like, this is the only chance I'll get. And I just feel like, no, this is the beginning. Like, I'm just going to speak that into you. As your travel agent, I'm going to be brave and say, I just want to say, I don't think this is the only time you're going to get to go. I think you will have another chance if that's what you want. And so let's make sure this is a great trip, but let's also plan for you to see something else next time. Because if you're trying to fit all of Italy into a week, and like you, Cassie and Tina both said, like, if your travel style is, I want to relax and soak it in, or I want to be like the local for a week, well, you can't do that running all over the country, because guess what? They do not do that over there. They do not run all over the place. Like, if they have a vacation, they go to one place for a month and they rest and they soak it in. And that is not what you're talking about doing. If you want to see all of Italy in a week, you're going to be miserable.
That's so much pressure to put on a trip and put on yourself. Like,
yeah. So what if you show up like me and you're like, and today we're going to see Pisa, and then you get there and you hate it? I was like, is this all there is? What did I
Speaking of overrated travel destinations.
Guys, listen, what do we say when we say Pisa? Do we say, let's go to Pisa? No, we say, I want to see the Tower of Pisa. That is a building. What are you going to do the rest of the day? You saw a building, which PS they don't usually just let you climb in. Like, so just walk through it with me, okay? If you've never been to Pisa, you show up at Pisa. You're taking a photo, and then what? Okay, now you saw it. What are you doing next? Have you done any research? Are you in love with something else about the city? There's a lot else Okay, you're near some cool places, but sorry, Pisa. This is what you have is this weird tower that is leaning. That is very cool for 5 whole minutes while you took a photo of it, and then you are stuck in Pisa. What are you doing? And most of what you spent money on that day was the parking, where somebody tried to scam you, and you were worried somebody's going to break into your car while you're taking a photo of Pisa. And I challenge anyone who's been there to tell me I'm lying. That is what happens. So,
I skipped Pisa, not because of that. My husband was just like, I don't really care. I think that it's we can see it on the internet, and we've had to fly into Pisa because we were going to Livorno and for a music festival. And I didn't even see as much of Livorno as I would like to see, but I did see a lot because the expectation for that was he wanted to go to the music festival.
right.
And so that was great. But we were in Livorno and got to see some other things. But yeah, Pisa, and their airport lost my luggage, so I'm
Rude.
rude.
Well, that could happen anywhere. But
Well, no, that did.
yeah.
And I had insurance, so it was fine.
But yeah, I mean, sometimes something's overrated like that because I'm just going back to the topic. What was your expectation? Did you really think it through what you wanted to see? Like, if your expectation of Paris is, I want to see the Eiffel Tower, and you truly do not care about anything else, and you hate French food, you already know that, and you don't really like big cities, then you need to get in there, take that photo of the Eiffel Tower, and get the heck out of town. What are you doing? Do not plan a whole week in a city when you really just wanted to take a photo in front of a building, right?
Yeah.
So that's just something that you should think about. And when we talk about like once in a lifetime experiences, this is where doing just a little bit of research or hiring someone who this is what they want to talk about all day long every day, and they've been 6 times and they really have opinions and are going to help you have the best trip ever. Like, that is what we all would love to do. We would love to tell you exactly how to spend your time so you have the best time ever. But we're going to start that by asking you what you want out of it. What is it your expectation is? And we're going to challenge you on that. Dig deeper. Like, tell me, like, what are you imagining? Because the other thing we hear about is like somebody goes to Mexico and then they don't like the food. And they're like, I thought it would be like my favorite Tex-Mex place. Well, it's not. You go to Italy and you're expecting lasagna, and then you're in a region they don't eat lasagna because lasagna is kind of a very American thing, and you're disappointed. So knowing your expectations and doing a little research is going to help so much more. And then slow down and make sure you're building in time to have fun, right?
Let's talk about some of our places that we have been disappointed that we think are overrated, like our personal places that we think are overrated. What do you guys have?
This one's not my own. It's a family member, but I'm going to use it because we talked about a little bit about New York, and Times Square, I think, was one of the places that you mentioned, which I thought Times Square was really cool when I was there, but I was only there to see it and experience it. My brother decided years ago to do New Year's Eve in Times Square. And of course, we watched that on TV, and you're like, how that would be so cool to be there. And, and some people are like, no, that does not sound great to me at all. And I'm one of those people. And then because I'm like, why would you want to do that? When you really realize that it's so structured, you're in a line, there's really no place to go to the bathroom. You can't have your own alcohol in there. You can't do a lot of things except for just stand and wait in line for hours. And your parking is like an hour or 2 away, and then getting to and from Times Square before and after. He's like, okay, he did it, so you can say you've done it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of some of the things. You did it, so you can say you did it. And that was one of the things when I didn't go see the Tower of Pisa. I'm like, oh, I kind of wish I did. But I'm a little bit more now. I wish I went to Florence. But hey, now I know that is definitely, if our once in a lifetime trip happens again, because I think it will, I will make it a point to do more research and get to Florence. And during that time, if I'm there for 7 days and I want to go take a day trip or 2 to Florence. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things that could be disappointing when you experience it just to experience it. I've heard people say that about the Grand Canyon as well, which I'm really, really embarrassed. I lived in Arizona for 13 years and I didn't get to the Grand Canyon.
That's shocking.
Yeah, it's bad. But and I don't think I would be disappointed in that. I think I have good expectations. I have better feelings about seeing nature than I did maybe when I was younger. Because I know when my stepsons came to Florida with us at one point, my husband and I, we went to Florida. We got a place on the beach, which it was amazing. You open the blinds and there's the beach. We walk right out, beach, beautiful, beautiful. What the 12 or 13-year-old kids wanted to do, close those blinds and play video games. So for them, it was like, if the video game console quit working, their expectations are, this was an awful trip, where I'm like, this is a perfect trip because we're on.
That's a great example. Different people have different expectations of what a great vacation is, and that they change over time. What a good point, Tina. And we're all kind of difficult at a certain age, even on vacation. And sometimes that comes back around again. We get to be difficult again at a certain stage. So I don't know. I'm really picky about my beds now. I'm this stage where I care about how the bed quality is.
Does that mean we're old?
And so I'm a lot more picky about what hotel I stay in than I ever was when I was young. I was like, who cares what the hotel's like? I'm not going to be in it. I'm going to be out doing stuff. Well, now I'm like, listen, it better have these amenities and this kind of bed. And like, you know how hotels now will brag about their pillows or like their mattress? And I'm like, they figured it out. Some of us really are reading reviews. Like, what kind of what does the tag say on that mattress? I want to know I'm sleeping in the middle of this vacation. It matters. Yeah. I think expectations is what it all comes back to, what's overrated or not.
I know one place that I've been that was overrated was Plymouth Rock.
Plymouth
I mean,
Rock.
it's literally like this little rock. It's like this big, and it has the year stamped on it. So it's like, obviously it's not the rock. And it's
Which somebody came back and did later.
Yeah. It's like caged off, and you just look down, you're like, oh, there it is. There's the rock. Woo! This is what we walked all this way to go see. Like, definitely a bummer. That's just one.
If a place has like a story that we were told as kids about it, then I am gonna be disappointed when I show up to the real life place and it's just the place. Like Plymouth Rock's a great example of the kind of images I made up in my head of what you're gonna see. Like you're gonna show up and the pilgrims are there with some big boat and it's like, no, it's a rock. Yeah. I don't know what you thought was gonna happen. You're not stepping back in time, Heather. That is the weird drama inside of my head. So I'm disappointed in a lot of places that have stories. When we lived in Virginia, there's so many now there are cool places. Williamsburg is a great example of the opposite of Plymouth Rock, where it is still there and you get to walk the streets of actual Williamsburg and there are people like in costumes walking around carrying baskets of dried flowers and stuff, and like you can go and they're like baking bread and like it is cool, guys. Like go to Williamsburg if you're into history. But we went just south of there in North Carolina. There's a place where the Lost Colony. The Lost Colony. It's lost, guys. What did I think I was gonna see? It's lost. I think I was gonna show up and solve the mystery. I don't know. I was disappointed when it was like, here's a play about the Lost Colony while you're sitting in this park that was supposedly the place where the Lost Colony. What did I think I was gonna see? I really was like gonna show up and solve it. Show me the tree where the words are carved. Do you know the story I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's started in Roanoke in
Roanoke.
Outer Banks. We went twice with my oldest son has been twice, and literally all that's left, it's a park, so we do all the national park things to get stamps and all that. And we went out and you walk. Have you been to it? Like you walk out and there's a mound in the ground, and it's like, and then there's a picture that shows you what they thought that the port looked like and that thing. And we were literally walking away, and my son said, "What do we walk all this way just to see this grassy hole in the ground?"
There's something about, and you're like,
but I love that. Like, I place.
I was gonna solve it, Cassie. I was gonna find the Lost Colony that day. I was gonna figure out what that mystery word in the tree was, and that tree's not there, Heather. That was 300 years ago. What are you doing? Anyway.
If you love to travel, you know the best experiences happen when you can truly connect with the people, the culture, and the language. That's where Speak Language Center comes in. Speak isn't just about memorizing a few phrases. It's about immersing yourself in the language and culture before you go. Their travel series courses are designed for curious travelers who want to feel confident ordering fresh pasta in Italy, chatting with winemakers in Argentina, navigating the markets of Lisbon, or lingering over pastries at a Parisian cafe. With live expert instructors, not AI, Speak helps you go beyond the basics, offering cultural insights, real-world conversation practice, and even travel-infused learning experiences. You can join a scheduled group class, or Speak can create a custom course just for you and your travel pals, tailored to your trip, time zone, and availability. Whether you're planning a dream trip to Tuscany, the vineyards of Mendoza, the French Riviera, or the streets of Porto, Speak helps you make the most of every moment. Check out their courses at speaklanguageacademy.com and start speaking your next destination. Use code TRAVEL10 for 10% off your first Traveler's Prep course. That's code TRAVEL10 for 10% off.
This was back in, gosh, this is dating me, but this was the late 70s. We did a family trip, my mom and my grandmother and my sister and my two uncles. And we were driving across country from Wyoming to Michigan and back. And when we were coming back, we had a choice of whether we went to see Mount Rushmore or Devil's Tower. Well, my mom really wanted us to go to Mount Rushmore. She thought that would be really cool. But instead, we wanted to go see Devil's Tower because of, what is it, Close Encounters of the Third Kind? Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Third Kind.
Yeah, because that movie was popular. So we're like, well, we want to go there, obviously.
See the aliens, Mom.
Now, I don't remember being disappointed. I don't, because I was a kid, and I think I would still love to go there just to see it because it's I'd see it again because nature and all the symbolism behind it that I understand now. But I think my grandmother and my mom were like, okay, so we went all this way. We could have seen, and I've still not seen Mount Rushmore now.
Oh no. That's one though that I think some people feel disappointed in, because in the end, staring at a mountain, you're like, there's their faces. It's right there. Like, what did we come all this way to do? There it is.
Or the Hollywood sign, I think.
Or the Hollywood sign.
Hollywood.
Yeah. Anytime you're going to see a building or a monument or something, like what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull up there and you're gonna go, there it is. And then you're gonna take a picture, and then you're gonna stand around because you feel like you shouldn't just turn around and leave.
I mean,
and eventually you're just gonna leave and go, what did we come here for?
Yeah, unless, like we've talked about before, that is, like Kimmy talked about how she's into art. So if you're going to, a museum or something and to see a specific art piece or something, you are going to have a different appreciation for it than maybe just Joe Schmo would.
Right.
Seeing it just, seeing Mona Lisa just because you got to see it and realizing it's this big. So like, okay, wow, that was a waste of time. Or if you're an artist and you get to get close enough to it, you're like, okay, I can see why this is, but something like that for somebody who sculpts, going to see Mount Rushmore would be like, wow, that's cool. And other things that would be like, okay, yeah. So it depends on.
It's about your own experience and your own expectations.
Yeah. That leads me into my overrated topic. 3 things, just fun facts about me that I don't care about. I love everything. I'm interested in everything. I love to learn. I do not care about space. I do not care about dinosaurs, and I do not care about electricity. Okay. You can make those interesting to me, period. I'm not the target audience for those. 2 of those things, I live with 3 males. They are the target audience for the top. Okay. And my husband's an electrician, so he checks off all 3 boxes. I love art. Nobody else in my family loves art. So just getting that out of the way. So we went on a trip back in the fall. We flew into Las Vegas, drove to Disneyland in California. And I told everybody about our trip. I bet 6 people were like, oh my God, you've got to see the Hoover Dam. Are you the Hoover Dam? Oh my God, the Hoover Dam. I bet I heard the Hoover Dam 16 times. All right. So we're all excited. We're leaving Las Vegas, driving to California. We get to the Hoover Dam sign. It's big and grand. And everybody's like, "Ooh, it's 108 degrees for number one. It's 108 degrees that day. Number two, my children did not eat breakfast and we paid $75 for it at the Las Vegas hotel. Number two, but here you go with your expectations and your money. All right. And my children haven't ate. So here we are. So we go to the Hoover Dam. We drive around and they're doing construction, which I think is always like, if you don't know about that prior and you didn't plan for that, that's always like a hiccup. It's a brown building in brown rock. And so we drive around, like I will say on the backside, the lake and stuff is beautiful. And there's a little town that the workers live, see that, like stop at the little town. You can drive by the Hoover Dam. You don't, it's not a must do, but we will say, like, when we were driving away, my oldest son, who's 9 at the time, he said, I don't say anything negative. I never say negative things because, I wouldn't want somebody to think that I thought what they like sucked. So I was like, well, we saw the Hoover Dam. Let's check that off our list that we've done. And my son, who is very blunt, and he said, Mom, that was kind of interesting, but it was boring too. Like, it's a dam. And I was like, that is 100% how I feel. 100%. And then we start talking about, would we have to come back here? What would change our mind if we came back here? Maybe taking a tour. Maybe we need to take a Clark Griswold tour of the Hoover Dam to really appreciate the Hoover Dam, So I will say that was my, no, the Hollywood sign was a close second. I will say the Griffith Park Observatory that you go to see the Hollywood sign is 9 million times nicer than the Hollywood sign.
Mm-hmm.
But
I've heard that a few times. Yeah.
You have to see it because
it's funny how some places become like so iconic, right? That you have to go. I think Rome is that way. Everybody's like, you have to go to Rome. If you're going to Europe, you have to go to Rome. And I'm like, but do we? Because Europe's big and there's a lot of places to see. And I've been to Italy 4 times now and I still haven't been to Rome. And I have met more people that did not enjoy visiting Rome than people that have enjoyed visiting. And it's probably about expectations. It's probably about the reality is it's a giant city. It's a big city. And there's a lot to see there. But if you're not into certain parts of it, like if you're not really into Catholic history and art, then there's a whole section there that you're just not going to appreciate. But you're going to feel like you have to go see it because everyone's going to tell you have to go see it. Oh, did you go to the Vatican? Oh, did you go see the Sistine Chapel? What if you don't care about that? Then you're really disappointed that you spent all that time and money to go see that stuff. And then you're like, well, we saw it. If you love it, if you've always wanted to see that, then that's different. I think people just really we all need to take a step back and be like, what do we really care about in the end? Are we really just going on vacation for everyone else? Because that's what it comes down to a lot of times.
Put it on Instagram. Yeah.
So that we can say we did what everybody else did. Everybody else loves Disney, so I have to love Disney. Yeah. Like, if you love Disney, go love Disney. If you don't care, then do not feel like you have to spend every summer doing that. Like, what a shame. And then you're not happy with your own vacation you spent time and money on, And it's the same. Like, if you don't care about Europe, like I could go to Europe every other month and be happy because I want to see more of it. I just want to spend more and more time there. But other people don't feel that way. And I understand that. And I would never want you to feel like you had to go on a vacation because I had a good time on mine. What a silly thing. Go have your perfect vacation and I will go have mine. And we can both enjoy that each other was happy about that. So
know that everybody is not the target audience for everything. It's okay. It's okay if you don't like something. It's okay that you don't like it. Like, that's okay.
It is okay.
I'm a little, don't kill me for saying this, but I low-key think Disney, and it's probably because I grew up 2 hours away from there. So like we would go for the day and then drive back home, and it was like, but like the whole idea of going and spending like a whole week down there. And it's not that I don't love Disney, because like
I totally get how people can go and not have a good time.
Yeah.
And I think over the years, Disney has become harder and harder for people. You have to know what you're doing. going to have a good time.
Yeah,
You can't show up and be there.
Yeah, and that's what I always like. I'm not the person that I don't like plan everything out, and you have to plan everything out if you're going to Disney. Like the last time we went, I literally decided that we were going to go to Disney like a couple days before, less than a week before, to reserve the hotel, everything. And we only stayed for one day, and then we left that night. And it actually ended up being we had a great time. That was probably one of the best times that I went to Disney. But the whole idea of like having to like scheduling out the whole week and all the meals and all of that stuff's like overwhelming.
Like there are different styles of travel, and that appeals to a certain person who's like, I want to make sure we do everything all day long and like are busy. Like that makes me feel energized and excited. And then there are other people in this group, right? In this group, we have different styles of travel. And like Tina's like, oh, I want to be chill. I want to relax. I want to feel relaxed when I come home. Well, that's great. That too is great. That's a different trip, you know? Or you can do Disney that way, but you are planning a very different experience than what the average person. I think social media feeds into this too, of this idea that there's only one way to do Disney. Like let's not perpetuate that. I almost did by just saying like, this is the only way to do it. That's not true. Like you could go and spend a day at your resort. I never hear anybody say that. Like paid a lot of money to be at that resort, not just the parks. So did you do anything but sleep there? Because it sounds like when you're telling me your story, it was a bed and an access point for what you wanted. And like that feels like a lot of money to spend if you didn't like enjoy the resort too. But that's a whole different way of planning, right?
I actually have friends that have gone and they have taken a day like in the middle of their week where they just stayed at the resort and hung out at the pool and like relaxed and all. But I also think like that's where people like Cassie come in that are planning for you, because like for me to try to plan all that, I would be so like overwhelmed and stressed about it. But I think, you know, if I had a travel agent and I said, hey, I want to go to Disney and I'm going to spend a week, and will you plan all this for me? And you just tell me where to go and when to be there. That I would do it that way.
And I think that's true anywhere. Like, you know, somebody wants to go to Cancun and they want to go see the pyramids and they want to go on this boat tour they heard about, and they want to go over here. They heard about this nightclub something, you know, and they want to know about that. And then they want to go to Xcaret Park, and then they want to, you know, okay, so that's a go trip. But somebody else goes to the same city and they're like, I'm going to lay on the beach. I want my bed to be comfortable and I want someone to bring me cold drinks all day long. That's the same location and totally different vacation styles, right? And the same happens in Europe, right? Somebody wants to go, see. I'm going to see everything I can, and I want to be busy and I want to be involved. And someone else is like, I want to go to a beautiful place and slow down and experience the culture. These can be the same location and different styles of travel. And a lot of this, what something's overrated or underrated, it comes back to expectations and travel styles.
Yes.
And that fits you and what you want out of your vacation instead of what fits the people around you or your favorite Instagram person. Like, go on your dream vacation, not theirs.
I feel like we come back to that a lot. I know when we, on our wellness episode, I think we came back to that same kind of idea. Like, go to what fills you up. Do what fills you up and not what everybody expects you to do. Yeah. And for goodness sakes, don't expect everything to look like it looks on Instagram, because it's not going to look like that.
Amen.
It's not going to look like Instagram, people.
Or it won't look that way every day.
It might look that way if you crop it.
Or if you wake up very early.
And then it looks that way.
Right. There's 1 hour at 5:15 a.m. that it's going to look like that. Well, I think that we have gone over our time on this one, but that was a really good episode. We're going to have to come up with a companion episode of the most underrated places.
Yes.
Because we'll have a whole list of those. But since we're at the end of our podcast, where are your minds traveling today after that episode? What is on your mind?
Now I'm at Disney. I'm sorry. You said
Yep. And you also said, and Heather said Cancun, and I'm going to be there in just over a month. And so now that's where I am in my brain now.
Yeah.
Laying on a beach and having somebody serve me cold drinks.
Yes,
After
when she said that, I was like, yes, that sounds ideal to me.
Nice. Well, I'm thinking about sitting in my favorite cafe next to Notre Dame and drinking ice cold tea with mint in it. My favorite cafe.
We mentioned the Sistine Chapel, and hello, why would you not want to go to the Sistine Chapel? But anyways, so I've kind of been stuck there since you mentioned that, because the art world, I would love to go see that one day.
Definitely.
So now that you've heard where our minds are, drop us a line, drop us a comment, follow us on all our social medias, and tell us where your mind is. We'd love to interact with guys and share more with you. So thanks for joining us today, everybody.
Hi, friends.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode of the Travel Bug Girls podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It really helps the show grow and allows us to bring you more amazing content. We'd love to connect with you on social media. Find us online at travelbuggirls.com. Until next time, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and safe travels.